Hi, everybody. My name is Jeremy Fontana. I'm the creator and CEO of a new location-based experience by National Geographic called Night Sky Odyssey. And I don't mind telling you I'm suffering from a little bit of imposter syndrome. I was here at Odd 2 years ago knowing virtually nothing about augmented reality and very much here being fairly certain that it was going to be something that was going to work for us. And I came shopping for headsets and shopping for an app developer. A year later, we launched our experience, and a year after that, we were making money and had a worldwide licensing deal with National Geographic. So I'll take you through the story a little bit. I think this is my clicker. So basically, I am a recovering advertising executive. I moved to the country, gave up everything in the city, moved to the country and bought a wilderness lodge called the Green Devil. It's right near the Vermont border on the Canadian side, so the images that you see are actually looking into Vermont. And I had the kind of idea to take the park concept and put it on steroids a little bit. So we built 27 four-season tree houses, which you can stay in. We have a herd of Scottish Highland cows. We've got all sorts of interesting activities for people to do, water sports and hiking and camping. And we've sort of made it our mission a little bit to do things very differently than a park. And that's very much how the story started. Now, one of the most interesting things about our location is the extremely dark sky. Looking into northern Vermont, there's even less in northern Vermont than there is in Canada. The sky is spectacularly dark. You can actually make out the colors of the different planets, the colors of some of the different stars. The Milky Way is a crazy ribbon through the sky. And being the owner, people regularly would come up to me and say, "Oh, do you know what that one is there? Is that Mars, especially this year? Do you know which the Big Dipper is, and the Little Dipper, and the Scorpion?" And I had really no idea at all. So we basically have started to do all sorts of different, quite obvious things to sort of leverage this incredible dark sky that we had. We started to sell star maps, star charts, which is kind of like a round circle. You dial it to the day and hold it up to the sky. We had all sorts of different astronomers come in to point around with a laser. We had telescope evenings. Everything that we tried, I would basically come down and the staff would say, "What did you think? How did that go?" I'm like, "It sucked." I said, "Do you know when you point a telescope at a star that's 20 million light years away and it's 2,000 times bigger, do you know what it looks like? It looks exactly the same." So we were, "Oh, I have a telescope, I have a telescope." I'm like, "Well, I don't know what kind of telescope you have, because telescopes suck." So we started looking at all sorts of crazy ideas of how could we demystify the night sky, and I looked at a $60,000 Swiss laser. I was going to blast the constellations on the sky, a giant inflatable dome that we could heat and sit inside in the winter and look at the sky. That didn't work as well. Then I had the idea to create heated boxes so people could lay inside the heated box and with only their head out, because it's cold. And I said to my partner, I said, "You know what we're going to call them? Star coffins." I said, "You're going to lay out there in the dark. You're a lunatic. We're definitely not doing that." So we started to get the idea that maybe augmented reality was the way to go. So the first thing we did was I said, "Well, geez, given it's so dark, why don't we get our Dark Sky Preserve certification?" So I basically called up the Royal Astronomical Society. I said, "This is what we're interested in doing. We want to build an outdoor amphitheater in the mountains and basically have people sitting out there in heated seats basically 10 months of the year, except when the snow is super deep. So we built this crazy thing. It's at 1,200 feet, looking south, which is the best direction for the stars. There's 184 heated seats inside, outside, actually. The whole thing is outside. This is the stage area where we basically have an astronomer that's guiding people through the evening. And it opened at the middle of June last year. So we finished our first season. We're just starting our second season now. Everybody asked me, well, what kind of market research did you do? I'm like, I didn't do any market research. They're like, well, how did you know people were going to come? I was like, I was pretty sure they were going to come. And come they did. We actually had a lot of angry calls from people who couldn't get tickets. We sold out every single show. We couldn't even find astronomers fast enough to present. And from June till October, we sold 5,000 tickets. And this year is already about 50% sold out. This is what it looks like at night, a drone shot. We have all sorts of very mood lighting when people come in, and then we put all the underseat lighting to red. A very interesting endeavor. So I told you I came here basically to look for which $1,000 headset we were going to use. And I was expecting it to be a pretty crazy conference. I was thinking video games, porn. I told my friends I'm going to the AR conference. Is going to be awesome. And there was a lot of heating and air conditioning. There was a lot of like, this is what you do so you don't cut nerves when you're doing an organ transplant. And a lot of the headsets had cables, which I thought were so people didn't steal them. But apparently the cables are very important. So rather than pick a $1,000 headset, I found these guys from the Netherlands, Aryzon, which basically make the AR equivalent of a Google Cardboard. So it's run with a smartphone, only weighs a couple of ounces. And when I saw this, I thought to myself, hey, what if we could include the headset in the ticket price and people could take it home? And so that's basically what we did. So I met one of the guys when I was here. They were on Kickstarter. I think they had sold 1,000. And I ordered 10,000. So they figured out pretty quick how to make them in China. Then I ordered another 10,000. And so they were pretty happy with me. So the model basically is that people, when they come, we give them the headset. We provide the smartphones just so everybody's battery's charged and no one has a cracked screen and so forth. Then at the end of the show, we take back the smartphones. The headset is included, and then we give them a code to unlock this app, which is otherwise not available. Now, the app part was a little bit of a challenge. So what I decided to do was I basically called up the biggest of the night sky app makers. Now everybody's pretty tech savvy in here, at least I hope so. And I'm sure many of you have played with these apps. So we called up Starchart and I said, I've got this crazy idea for an AR headset, are you in? And they said, the guy chuckled on the phone, they're in England. And he said, guess what? He said, you're the first person to call for AR since we did a demo for Google Glass. And he sent me a review of Google Glass, and it said, it didn't look like Starchart was made for Google Glass. It looked like Google Glass was made for Starchart. So basically, you put this headset on, and the first part of the show is this fairly immersive tour through the solar system. We've put in a fake sky in the background, but basically, we fly people through the solar system to kind of position them a little bit. They go through the asteroid belt and so forth. And then there are no buttons to press. There are no wires. And at the end of this section, we basically tell everyone, tilt your head down till your ear touches your shoulder, and you switch modes. And then basically you go, it'll play in a second, you go into constellation mode. So using the GPS and the accelerometer and the compass in the phones, people are looking around, they're seeing the actual night sky, and the labels, the names of each of the stars appear, the names of the planets, and these 17th century illustrations from the original catalog of constellations appear superimposed over the night sky. Literally from 1 second to the next, you look at the sky like you've spent a lifetime studying astronomy. You see the sky. I don't know if anyone's ever been outside with someone who knows the sky, but there are few things as irritating. You see this one? You see this one? And they stand behind you and they put their arm next to your head. And you see that one? That's the tail of the scorpion. You see the next one? And I'm like, I don't see anything. So we basically take people through this guided tour using a laser. None of the phones are connected, so if you don't follow the laser, you're looking around, which a good number of people do, looking all around. And then when you look into the ground, you can actually see the constellations on the in the southern hemisphere, which is fascinating. So people are honestly, to see the reaction from people from 8 until 90 years old, it's literally amazing. And the fun thing is that most of the things in the sky you're vaguely familiar with. There's Hercules, there are all the zodiac signs, there's the serpent and the scorpion and the two dogs. And we actually had to do some pretty heavy editing with the Roman mythology because a lot of it has to do with your mother and the strange feelings you have. So we certainly tried to make this a family-rated activity. But the fun thing is that the sky's constantly changing. So people will come back multiple times during the summer, and the whole sky has kind of shifted. And then this year, I always joked if anybody needed an ad agency, it was the sky. But this year, every month, every 2 weeks, there's a new moon. The blood moon, the blue moon, the super moon, the mega moon. And then it was the year of Mars, so Mars was visible through the whole summer. And then with an incredible amount of predictability, satellites are visible. So we tell people, all right, at 9 o'clock, we've got this satellite coming through. Then the space station is going to come through. And people can't believe how predictable these things are. But it's amazing to take these things and for people, most people have never seen a satellite. But when you're in a dark environment, sometimes we can see 5, 6, 7 different satellites in an evening. And I've got my kind of nerdy astronomers basically trying to, look at their chart and so forth. And I'm like, listen, it doesn't matter. If you don't know what it is, I don't want you to ever say that you don't know what it is. I said, it's a Russian military satellite. It shoots lasers. I'm like, come on, work with me a little bit, because all of the issues we had seen with the types of presentations that were being done, it wasn't sort of Hollywood enough. So we wanted to basically take the sky, make it fun, show the constellations, tell the stories behind them, and really bring the sky alive, which I think we've been very, very successful at doing. For all of the content, I reached out to a guy, he's called the Night Sky Guy. He's a blogger for National Geographic who gets 250, 300,000 views on his weekly Facebook Live. And I called him up and I said, this is what I'm doing. Are you interested in contributing? I need someone to write the content and so forth. He said, yeah, I'm definitely interested. I said, we have this site in Quebec and we're interested in doing this thing. And I know you work for National Geographic. And he said, well, have you pitched this to National Geographic? I said, no. He said, you definitely should. So all of the development, even all of the construction, the sourcing of all the suppliers, I basically did myself and one or two people on my team at the time. Additionally, we had never met anyone in person. So we never met the guys from Aryzon. We had never met the company that manufactured these heated custom seats. I've never met the guys from Starchart. And so we called up National Geographic. We found the right person. We had 3 45-minute calls, and they're like, this is a total no-brainer. So we had a worldwide licensing deal after 3 45-minute calls without even going to Washington. So we're currently now starting our second season, as I said. They are installing this at the Royal Belgian Observatory in Brussels. There's a second Canadian site. There's the Adler Planetarium in Chicago. There's the Pitcairn Islands, which is exactly in the middle of nowhere between Antarctica and Australia. The shipping logistics to get the headsets there is something you have to see to believe. And we've just been approved as a National Park Service interpretive activity, which gives basically the green light for the rangers in each of the parks to use this. So it's a pretty interesting lesson, especially for someone who knew nothing about AR. I can probably safely use that in the past tense now. But this conference has definitely been instrumental. Coming, especially this year versus 2 years ago, it seems, I didn't see any porn, but there's a lot more video games and a lot more cool, fun stuff, a lot less heating, air conditioning, and don't cut the nerves, which is good to see. But this is one of the few examples that we know of for a viable, operating example of AR in the entertainment space. And it really, I must say, is the perfect use of AR. It gives you access to all that is beautiful and natural of the night sky, and it adds just that one single layer of what you're missing, the constellations and the planets and the stars that you know are there, but you just don't know where they are. So it's been an exciting story, and I'm happy to share it with you. Come and have a visit. Thank you.